New Fox News poll shows 87% of voters think the southern border crisis is an emergency or a major problem. Joining me now is Terrell County, Texas Sheriff and retired Border Patrol agent Thad Cleveland. Sheriff, thanks very much for being here. Your reaction to all of this?
Hey, good morning, Maria. Thank you for having me back. And first of all, it's nothing more than political rhetoric. You know, we're almost at the election time, and this administration has taken token efforts the last 2 months. Again, the last 2 months, they've taken these efforts to make it look like that they're actually doing something in the border. But what about the last 3.5 years? These are steps they should have taken 3.5 years ago.
Well, I mean, I'm wondering if they're doing this just so that they could get illegals to vote. I mean, was that the whole point the whole time? Ben Weingarten writes this in a piece called The Battle Lines of 2024's Epic Struggle. More than a dozen jurisdictions run by Democrats, including Washington, D.C. and several adjacent Maryland municipalities, allow non-citizens to vote in some local elections. San Francisco not only permits non-citizens to vote, but appointed one to serve on its election commission. How likely is that?
Maria, even though we know it's against the law for non-citizens to vote, it's easy to get a driver's license. It's easy to get an identification, and it would certainly be easy to go into a courthouse, register to vote, without having someone there that's an appropriate immigration official to determine whether or not someone's here legally or illegally. And I must also make the comment, Kamala said that the immigration system's broke. The immigration system isn't broke. We have pathways to citizenship. What we don't have, and it's exactly opposite of what she said, we don't have a secure border. The border is not secure, and we must secure our border.
Well, she's bragging that the illegal migrant crossings have dropped to the lowest level in 4 years this July. The numbers, of course, are only being compared to the Biden-Harris years, not the former President Trump's record of low crossings. I mean, under President Trump, we had, a 40-year low in crossings. Now we've got a 20-year high. New CBP data shows there have been more than 8 million encounters at the southwest land border alone since 2021. Those are the people that we've stopped and apprehended. And, of course, that doesn't include the 2 million plus gotaways. So you're talking about 10 million illegals on Kamala Harris's watch.
Maria, first and foremost, I say that number's even higher because, again, that got-away number is a best guess. And our agents do a tremendous job counting those. But I guarantee you there's areas that we don't even know people cross, such in my portion of the border. But again, going back, this administration has, the last 60 days, taken token efforts to secure the border. Actually, I won't even say to secure the border, to stop some of this illegal immigration. Border security and migration are two separate issues. And you know as well as I do, we have those pathways, again, to migrate. We have to make sure that the people coming aren't going to be a public charge, and we have to also make sure that we know who they are. We have to get certifications from their country about their criminal records, and we're not doing that. We're vetting them against our own records. Again, our borders remain porous, and until we get a different administration who's actually going to tackle this problem, we're going to continue to see the same.
So, Michael Balboni, jump in here because I'm serious about this issue of illegals voting, and I want to get your take on this because apparently the DMV offices right now are packed with illegals right now trying to get driver's licenses, and they're getting Social Security cards and they're getting driver's license apparently in very short order. Yeah. After coming into the country, they want to get them naturalized as soon as possible before the election.
It's a normalization of an illegal act. Coming into a country, going across a border surreptitiously. I mean, Sheriff, you've seen this in Texas for over decades. I mean, what now has changed at the border given this tough talk that's coming from Washington, D.C.? Are you getting more resources at the border to help you with these types of encounters?
Certainly not. Not from the federal government, that is. We are from Governor Abbott here in the state of Texas. My county has specifically benefited from Governor Abbott's Operation Lone Star. That's where we've seen that additional assistance. And to your point about DMV offices, look, when I was assigned to U.S. Border Patrol headquarters in Washington, D.C., I'd go sit in the DMV office to get my license for hours. Meanwhile, people that were here illegally, based on my expertise in immigration and illegal immigration, they would go in, they would get their ID or their driver's license and walk back out while I had to produce Social Security card, bills to show my address. For whatever reason, it certainly is easier.
Maria, I've spent a lot of time overseas, especially in places like the Baltics, and they do not let you get any type of ID to use for travel or any other purposes. Across Europe, there has been this incredible reluctance to have anybody come in and normalize what they're doing. But not here in the United States. It's really insane that we are taking our immigration policies and basically ignoring them. And think about all the people who came through Ellis Island or did the immigration the right way. And now they sit and they say all these people coming in, getting the benefits of the United States without having to do any of the background checks. And your first slide talked about the terror watch list. That is a major concern. We still have no idea who these people are, what their training is, and what their motivations are with coming within this country.
Well, I mean, they're unvetted, right, Sheriff? I mean, we don't know where they're coming from or what the motivation is. And we mentioned the gotaways a minute ago. Those people got away. We don't know what they're going to do. That's why Christopher Wray has said multiple times that we could see a terrorist attack in this country.
Exactly, Maria. We don't know who these people are. And again, that's why I said I believe the number is a lot higher. But you have to look at, we're having terrorists come in the country. Is that number accurate? I believe it's much higher. I believe we're having political activists, probably some of those that are there in Chicago today. We're having criminal aliens coming to this country, and we're certainly having spies coming to this country. So we're being attacked from all sides. And I'm not so worried about a 9/11 style event. You know, our infrastructure, whether it's our banking systems, if it's our electrical grid. You know, there's so many vulnerable, you know, fields in our country. I just hope that we get a change in the White House, because that's what it's going to take. It's going to take a strong leader in the White House.
What about all these immigrants at these DMV offices where people are going to try to go get a license? They can't get an appointment at the DMV because it's jam-packed with illegals. The person that spoke to me about this weekend, you know, identified several places in Texas where he couldn't get in. The first one was in Weatherford. A massive line of immigrants getting licensed. They had a tent and a table outside the front door of the DMV registering them to vote. It was all, the signs were in Spanish. It was an obvious Democrat operation on this voting, he said. Second one was in Fort Worth, same line, same Democrats out front. And the third one was in North Fort Worth, which had no lines but the same voter registration drive. Trying to get illegals to get their driver's licenses so that they have ID.
Certainly. So again, two points I'd make is, one, I've experienced that myself in the various states I've been in, whether it's been out in Arizona or up in Virginia, as well as my home state of Texas when I moved back home. But you specifically mentioned one city, and the aliens that we see in smuggling in our county, the people that come down are heading to Fort Worth, they're heading to Dallas, they're heading to Houston. So I certainly believe that those quotes you have are accurate.
All right. Sheriff, we're going to keep watching this, of course. We've got about 80 days until Election Day. Sheriff, thanks very much. Thad Cleveland joining us this morning. Stay with us. We'll be right back.